What's up, everybody? I want to share something really important. I've already shared it, and then I actually took it down, and I actually had two people reach out to me, and they're like, why did you take down your last post? So I thought that was interesting that people are going back to cross-reference and go back to what I shared, but that means it's important. And, I first want to start off by saying this, that for anyone who knows me, they know I always say this, I teach through transparency. So what I believe is if you're always, we have to be able to see that something is real, right? A lot of us, it's hard to really step out on faith, and it's easier for us to step out on faith when we know that other humans have done certain things, right? I love faith, and faith has gotten me to where I am, and it continues to take me into the next level expansion. However, there's something really beautiful about transparency. But I posted something earlier, which was I'm celebrating a big milestone in my business, that today I reached six figures for the year. That means that we're almost through, the sixth month of this year. And I just went over, right? So by the end of this month, I should be at about 110, right? Which is amazing because last year my business was horrible. It was horrible. And last year I just started my business. So I want to share the details of this because what I did for a year is I looked like a really big, crazy person. I looked really crazy. I was stepping out on faith. I believed that I had something to share. I knew that I was meant to be doing what I'm doing. I knew that I was good at it. However, I just didn't totally see my worth, and there were a lot of funky money things from before when I had money before and I had my house and I lost my house and blah, 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 blah. There's this whole thing. But it also was a blow to my ego when I had my last business when I was in finance and I was doing really well, and then it just started sucking. It started tanking because I started hating it. And that really beat me up because I thought, well, I did so good. I was doing so good. I had these really big goals when I was in life insurance, and because all of a sudden it just kind of fell apart and I wasn't interested, and I let go. I didn't try to hang on. It wasn't working. I just let it go. I knew I was being called into this, but I'll tell you, so last year was my first year in my business, and when I looked at the graph of it, and so you guys know, when I looked at the graph of it from last year, I realized a little bit ago that I was at about $80-some thousand for the year, and I was like, oh wow, I'm approaching six figures, and it's just the beginning of June. And then today I went to go check, and I was like, hell yes, I just reached over the $100,000 mark. Hi Sarai, hi Poppy, hi Mandy. It moved pretty fast. Anyone that's on here, hello. So I saw that I reached that, and I was like, holy crap, awesome. But then I went back to 2016 to look what I made in my business, and I just made a sad $12,000 something for the entire year. Entire year, guys. And I'll tell you, I am a better practitioner now because I've unlocked myself so much more. So every lesson that I move through, I teach others, right? That's what we do in life. We learn lessons, and our lessons come to us so that we can be the vehicle for that lesson for more, right? So I grew through that, but here's what I did is I didn't listen to all the business myths. There's these myths in business about being patient. And look, I love patience. I have learned to be more patient, but I will tell you this, and I tell my clients the same thing. Don't be too fucking patient. Don't be too patient, because when you're too patient, you miss out on potential, right? So there's a way that we can be patient, right? So if you're just starting your business, know that you're not going to probably make six figures next month, right? So what happened though, this is the funny thing, is my growth wasn't very gradual, because I started studying universal laws. I started diving into deeper work. And I decided that no matter what, no matter how much money I had, no matter how much money I was making, that I had to do certain things. So I just threw myself into certain retreats. I went to Costa Rica and did all that crazy stuff. I went to a bunch of Tony Robbins events that seemed really illogical because I already went to them. But I met certain people and did certain things, pushed myself out of that comfort zone. And I don't know, it's been really fast. So here's what I want to share. Number one, the myth in business that I always hear is be patient. It takes a few years for someone to make six figures. No, because if we look at last year, and here's why I took the last post down, guys. Because there are people in my family and people that are connected to my family that will never watch one of these videos. They don't have the patience to watch this video. They don't really care what I'm saying. But they'll read a post and look at some photos. And they'll screenshot and they'll share it and they'll do all these things. And, I want to share this not for everyone. This information is not for everyone. But I know that there's people that watch my videos and there's people that actually do care. And there's people that will take this information and they will hold on to it and it will give them hope. Because I have people in my life that did that to me. Like, for instance, Kimra Luna. I don't really know her, but I remember reading about her story that she was like a mother, I think of 3 or 4 children, I forget, so excuse the facts here. But I knew that she went from welfare to making like $1 million in a relatively short amount of time. Maybe it was like 3 years, guys. I think these are the amounts. And I was freaking inspired by that. I was like, you know what? If she can do it, there's no way in hell that I can't break through this. There were other people too. So what I did is I just tuned out what everyone else said. And I decided to be really bold. And I knew when I was telling people certain things like, yeah, I move into this really crappy neighborhood of Los Angeles because I want to invest in my business. I don't want to have to worry about if I make a lot of money because I want to give all my heart and soul to my business and it's going to return back to me really quickly. And I know that people are looking at me like, you're crazy. I also know that people were like, why the hell do you live in that neighborhood? But here's what I held the vision of that like one day I'd be living where I live now in the marina, that I would have the money that I have now, and that I would get all the things that I wanted. And that's what's happening. And guess what, guys? It didn't take long. It just took months. But here's the other side of that. I didn't hire business coaches, but what I did is I did hire support for healing, because here's the thing. Here's the thing I know. We cannot walk through life with a heavy heart and not accepting ourselves and blaming ourselves for things and expect to fully express our abundance that's already within. Right? Do you guys understand that? So if there's any animosity you hold towards anyone, if there's any sort of way that you don't celebrate someone else's wins, like there's people that I know that I trigger by this, and people will be like, who the fuck does she think she is? She probably didn't make that much. That's why I share it, because I don't want you to even think that. I want you to truly know the amount of growth that I've experienced, because I'm just a human just like you, right? But here's what I do know, and here's what I teach to all my clients, is that there is a human side and then there's the infinite side, right? I have that connection that we all have, but I've spent the time to develop it. And in this time that I develop it, and I'm going to be further developing it when I go to Peru, when I go to India, like I'm doing all this in the next 90 days. And the reason I'm doing it is because I understand that evolutionary impulse is a higher level of strategy than any business coach can really give me. Any business coach. So the work that I even do with my clients is I just hold the space for them and I show them I'm a mirror and I tell them when they're playing small. So here's what I want to talk about. Sarai, you're feeling this. Sarai, you should get in my 4-week intensive that starts tomorrow, because I'm telling you, it's all about this. But look, I want to get this clear too with you guys, that I will say this up front though. I do have a background in business. Now, you guys know, if you've been following me, I have a background in business and a little bit of finance. I work with a really amazing mentor, and I'm naturally entrepreneurial, right? So I understand that if there's a problem, that I can solve certain things, and I get really aligned with that. And that's really what business is, guys. We don't have to have all these conditions around it and create a box around it and call it all sorts of names. All we have to look for is, what kind of solution am I offering? Who has a problem that I can solve? And what do I believe that my life is worth? Because I want to exchange my life, which is pretty valuable, right? Like, I only get one of them. I only have so much time that I'll be in this body at this stage with this amount of energy, with these capabilities, right? So we got to value this time. And the more that I value my time, the more that other people value their time as well. You understand that correlation there. So once I understood that, the reason why last year was such a sad year, making $12,000 for 12 months, guys, that like some months I just didn't make money. And because I was selling myself for $130 an hour. But here's the thing. I thought that was a lot, because I had this old paradigm of thinking that, well, if without a college degree, and guys, I didn't even graduate high school. I went to college for a little bit and then I decided to self-educate. But here's what I know. Is that I always do believe in, when we go to school, we learn certain things. You're learning what other humans are telling you. I understand, and maybe it's because I took a lot of LSD when I was younger. I don't know. But I've always been pretty visionary in the sense that I don't feel like I need another human to give me permission for something. But what I had to do for myself is forgive myself. Forgive myself for the times that I judge myself as not good enough. Forgive myself for the times I judge myself as being bad with my money, for letting my house get foreclosed, for being in a relationship that was abusive, for, just being in relationships that made me feel like shit in general. All the things that I deemed myself as wrong for, I had to heal them for me to open up to say, you know what? I want to have a $30,000 month. And I don't want to wait for years to have it. I was talking to a woman who's a very beautiful woman. She's like, loves what she does. She's passionate about it. And she gave me this talk about being patient in business. And I said, be careful who you're listening to when they talk about being patient in business, because guess what? I'm impatient when it comes to business. I'm impatient when it comes to business because here's what I know. I'm impatient, not about business, but about potential. I'm really impatient about the fact that we have unlimited potential, and I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste it. So I'm like, hold on. If you're telling me that in December of last year, before I decided I want to claim affluence as my life, right? I went to a meditation retreat. I was so tired of feeling like I don't have the money for stuff. Kyle knows I reached out to Preston Smiles. I was like, I want to work with Preston. At the time, I was like making under $10,000 a month. I think I had like my best month, which was probably like 6 or 7 or something. And I was just like, I'm frustrated. I want to make this amount. And then I just decided just dig deeper because what they were offering it didn't feel like I wasn't ready for that kind of thing, right? So what happened is I was just like, I am so frustrated. Why am I not seeing what's here? Why am I not seeing what my value is? And as I kept digging, and guys, there were so many days of tears. There were so many days of tears. I had to cry and heal it and reveal it and show up for it and share it. I've been sharing it. No, I didn't want to work for Preston. I think I wanted to work with him. Like, I was going to hire him as a coach for a little bit. I still love him. I think that he and Alexi are awesome. But yeah, it was a decision, guys. So I was sitting at this retreat and I just decided that I'm not going to spend another moment of my life not having the things that I want. Not having the things that feel good to me, not being able to buy the kind of food that I want, not looking at prices at stuff. I don't want to live where I was living, right? And I just decided I don't want to hold back. Like, life is short. I have people tell me I'm going to wait till January to start working with you. Why? Like, there's so much that could change between now and then. Not even to do anything with me, but just for yourself. Do not hold off. Because if I would have held off, look at what I've transformed in 6 months, right? So here's the deal. All of that happened because every month when it happened and I would feel a contraction and I'd be like, oh my God, that's a lot. I thought, yeah, but I'm barely touching it. I'm barely seeing it. There's so much more. What else is there for me to here to see, right? And right now, today I was talking to a few mentors because I'm all about having the mentors. It's just I haven't found the right ones, right? Because it's like dating and my growth is happening so fast that I outgrow people really quickly. The mentor that would have been a right fit for me in December would not be a good fit right now. So the reason why, like I was sharing in the beginning, that I deleted the original post is because this information is not for everyone. But today I saw the value in having a Facebook group. I wish I had one for entrepreneurs because entrepreneurs that are just starting need to know this. Here's the other thing. You really have to know if you really want this, right? I know this. I have clients. I have women that reach out to me every single day and they talk about what they want. And I think for some people, they think, well, if I hire a coach, I hired a coach. I spent the money. I spent thousands of dollars. Now, business is just going to come to me. Like, Jesus is going to pop down from wherever and he's going to just guide my steps. Well, guys, no. You still got to work hard. Here's what a mentor does for you. They shortcut it. So when I spent months going through groups, like I launched my first group last August and it was so small and it was like 2 months long for like $400 a person. And it was harder to get people to pay $400 than it is to get people to spend $2,000 because of the level of consciousness and the people I was like aiming for with my own money blocks and, own perception of, oh my God, this is a lot of money or whatever it is. It's all up in here, guys. It's all up in here. So we get to make these new choices and say, what do we want? But here's the thing. This is not a weekend hobby. This is what I'm talking about, this level of growth and what is possible for you, what's possible for me, what's here for us to explore and enjoy is not a freaking weekend hobby. It's an obsession. And it's really not an obsession for anything else but to get free. It's to get free, because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of things in life that I really want to enjoy. There's so many things in life that I just want to feel and experience. I don't want to look at it on TV. I don't want to watch it through someone else's Instagram. I want to know what it's like. And I deserve it. And so do you. Not only that, there's so many people that we can step up and do systematic giving to, right? We can build schools. We can provide water. There are people like, I'm so excited. Even when we're going to Peru, we have an opportunity to give back to these children in a village, and it just feels good. And I'm like, what can I set up systematically to where I know that just because I've been showing up and just because I have this community, I'm funding somebody that I'll never maybe meet. How beautiful is that? But I'll tell you what, it's not going to happen if you fall into this patience thing, because people are trying to make money off of you not knowing for so long, right? On the internet, there's so many people that want to say like, yeah, all we have to do in life is buy coach. And yes, we should always have people that we're looking up to. We should always have people that are showing us, revealing to us new ways, right? It's a shortcut. Really? We say there's no shortcuts, but there are shortcuts. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to go through the work. It doesn't mean that you don't have to have the pain that comes with ripping away your old perspective, your old perception, and realizing like, hey, I've been cheating myself, right? I have a client in my private mentorship group. She did a launch before we worked together. We were together in a group, and it came time for her. She ran this really beautiful free challenge, and she was so excited. It was like lighting her up. It comes time to sell the paid program, and guess what? She didn't want to sell it. She didn't feel like, she's like, but they can just look this stuff up on the internet. They can look this stuff up on the internet, and they can get it for free. And I'm like, please. I was like, okay, let's get really clear. I'm like, of course, everyone can go and they can research every thought leader and they can try to extract what they need to come up with the process I would take them through in one of my programs. They can do that. But why would they want to do that, right? Because let's go back to that number one thing. And remember what I said about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, everyone looks to him for his investment strategies and tell us your ways. How do you make so much money? How do you decide what to invest in? What does he say the number one investment is? His priority in all assets is time. It's time. So today, I'm talking to two mentors that are potential for me. One is charging $5,500 for her day. The other one's charging $20,000 for her day. That's how much it would cost me to spend a day with each of those women. And to some people, you may be like, oh, that's half of my annual salary. And you guys, you know that's more than I made last year, right? But here's the thing, is that as we grow and as we really understand what we're exchanging here, and we look at money as what it really is we understand that time is really the most important thing. You know, it really is the most important thing. You know, my daughter's getting older. Every time I look at her, she becomes more and more like a teenager versus a child. I'm getting older. I see the changes in my body. I feel differently, right? Like, there's things that are happening. Time is passing, guys, right? Time's passing. So do you want to have to spend that time period? And I'll tell you another thing that helped me along the way is that I was highly uncomfortable. You know, too many entrepreneurs start this and they want to be comfortable. And I'll tell you, get uncomfortable fast. Take it now, rip it all off now, and just allow yourself to feel it. Because one thing that I did, like I said, I moved to like a shitty neighborhood in LA, right? It was crappy. It was like, I didn't even want to go grocery shopping right where I live. And I did it with that vision. But the reason I did it is because when it came time for me to move, I was living in Venice, and I knew that I could do two things. I had two options. And this is high risk, guys, because I have an 11-year-old, a then 10-year-old that is depending on me. So for all you single moms out there preaching that little song about, but I'm a single mom, I have a kid that's depending on me. I don't care. And here's why I don't care. Because when I was living in that house in Venice and I had to move, and I had no really money to move, but I knew that I could do two things. One, I could get a job paying me like $60,000 a year, probably $70,000 a year, and I could afford to live in a $2,000 something in West LA and keep my ego comfortable, right? Because I wouldn't have to go move into that crappy area, and I could just still protect myself, right? And protect my ego, my identity. Or number two, which I did, number two, which is the somewhat crazy one that looked really bad at the time, but now I'm like, I'm so glad I did it, because I decided to move to that neighborhood, and I decided to lower my rent to a really low amount. And while I was living in that small place, in the neighborhood I didn't like, I just told myself every day that I was so obsessed with where I was going. I would wake up and go to sleep with the information I wanted to hear. I committed to classes with my mentor. I committed to retreats. I went to events. I paid for the flights. I did things with like barely the money. Like literally I was like, I'm just going to pay for it. I'm going to trust. And I would go there and I'd have like no money, right? But here's the thing, is that I understood that I had to make those choices. And that I was, Mark Cuban, I love his book where he talks about how he slept on the couch. Everyone who has done really great things in life has been really uncomfortable. So if you're trying to keep everything comfortable and you think you're going to do some radical shit, you're not. You're not. Let's just be really honest. And I'll tell you why. There's this thing about when we get uncomfortable, magic happens. But we got to get uncomfortable with it, right? So if you're living in a place that you really don't like and you're like, but this is fine, it's not even that bad. Like, you know what? It doesn't matter that there's robberies outside every day. Like, it's LA. This happens. If you live and rationalize about your suffering, you're not uncomfortable enough. You won't get out of it. The way to heal it is to get really real about it. How does it really make you feel? What are you really doing to yourself? And when you face that shit, change happens. But when you deny it and you lie to yourself, it doesn't happen. So one challenge I could give you, and I'll tell you, I had a client early in the year, and we went separate ways, and it was the only client that it just didn't work out, right? And here's the reason. She hired me. She worked with another coach who's somewhat spiritual, entrepreneurial, whatever. The other coach is just letting her stay in her bullshit all the time. This woman comes to me and she wants to stay comfortable. She wants to protect her identity of being this woman, right? But also she wants to do that while jumping over from making a $2,000 month to a $15,000 month. And I told her, look, rip off the Band-Aid, get really uncomfortable, and the magic's going to happen. I'm not telling you got to move to a shitty area and you got to do all these things, but whatever uncomfortable is for you, look at where you're holding your life in place and thinking, I got to hold this in place. So the funny thing is, my friend texted me earlier and he goes, oh, you're going to make $200,000 this year. And I said, no, I'm not. Do you think I'm going to stop growing? I made $77,000 of that $100,000 in the past, 90 days, right? Here's why. For some of that time, I was writing my book because my book was supposed to be done. Remember that, guys? But here's the book right here. My editor didn't do what she was supposed to do, so we're redoing it. We're not redoing it, we're re-editing it. But the thing is, I even took time off to write a book during that time, right? So, guys, anything is possible, but you got to go back to that thing. Get uncomfortable. Get really uncomfortable. Be totally honest about the fact that time is passing. And time is passing, and that we can allow space for grace. We don't have to beat ourselves up. The things that I'm talking about have nothing to do with beating yourself up or pushing yourself or being totally masculine. You can be very feminine and understand that you are filled with potential. You can be so feminine and understand that you are limitless in some ways. And when we do that, we really open up for what we are. There's so much to us that we don't see, and I know that's why my clients are repeat clients, because they know when they spend time with me that it's just like, I'm not allowing you to stay in that limited space because I know too much to let you. And, sometimes we think that I know it all, and I see it all. And guys, I don't know it all. I know that. That's why I'm continuously opening up, right? But what I do know is this, is that we can be conditioned to play small. We have been conditioned to think that things take a certain amount of time. We've been conditioned to not believe in ourselves and to doubt our intuition and to doubt the fact that we do have an inner guidance. Let's just imagine that you have an invisible self that is guiding you. You have an invisible self that could be your number one mentor. If someone asks me, who is my mentor number one? God, intuition, spirit, the divine, whatever it is. That's what I number one listen to. I will listen to that and trust that before I listen to anyone. I don't care if it's Tony Robbins. I don't care if it's Oprah, Richard Branson. I have to tune into what feels right for me, because just because something's right for me or you or someone else doesn't mean it's right for everyone, right? So I hope this helped you. If any of you are on the fence or even thinking about joining my 4-week intensive tomorrow, join it, because I'll tell you, it's the last 4-week intensive that will be happening for this year at least. And you guys see how much I've transformed in 6 months, a half a year, right? And I can't wait to report back and share where I'm at the end of the year, because I'll tell you there's going to be some magical stuff happening, because I'm not stopping here, right? I'm not stopping here, not only because of, I mean, money is one thing, guys. Money is one thing, right? Once we have all the things we need for our basic stuff, more money just, it feels good, right? But then we can start giving it away more. That's really what it's about. But beyond that, it's the impact. I told one of the people that I was talking to today, one of these mentors, right? One of the women that I was considering doing a VIP day with, because I just want them to show me, what am I not seeing? You're making 7 figures. I'm not. Show me some stuff, right? Like, show me what's up here. But one of the things when I'm talking to them, it's just understanding that, number one, if everyone took away all my clients today, I would be depressed. I would literally be depressed. If I couldn't show up for my groups, like, I can't wait for my group tomorrow. There are days where I have a lot of clients and there's like so many messages, there's so many emails, and I'm like, oh my God. And then there's my daughter, and then I'm like, my inside is like, give me time. So I feel like, oh my God, I need some time. But I'll tell you what, if someone were to take away my clients and what I do in the world, I would be very depressed. Like, I understand what happens to athletes and stuff like that when something, they lose their purpose in a way, if that's what they feel like their purpose is. And that's why when people retire, they get depressed and things like that. I don't want to ever stop what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. But the reason why this is so important is there's probably some people that are listening to this or that follow me that make well over this, and that's great. I am happy for them. But the thing that's really beautiful for me is that I created this out of nothing. I created this out of nothing, and I've designed it from a space of, this is all I want to do. I don't want to follow the rules of you have to have a 3-step funnel. I don't want to follow the rules of you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, and you got to do webinars and that. Guys, I create a Zoom training when I want to create one. I don't hit people up with like certain kind of tactics. Like, I just want it to be whatever feels good for me. But I want you to do whatever feels good for you. And that's why I shared this, because other people's conditions and agreements have nothing to do with your success. Nothing. And when we begin to tap into that, and then we listen and go back to that invisible self, remember our number one mentor, right? You don't have to call it God. God has a lot of baggage for a lot of us, right? But there is no denying the fact that there's an invisible part of us that if you learn to cultivate it, and if you match that with understanding the material world and understanding your worth in it, and understanding that there are people who will pay you whatever you ask for it, and that you can cultivate those gifts. And if you become a match for that, it's limitless. Only you decide. And some people say, yeah, but I want to serve. I had one of my clients say that. They're like, I want to serve. Okay, well, give away all your stuff for free, and then, see who you're really serving. So I'll tell you what. The people that really want to show up for themselves, they find a way. Just like I tell you guys, I made $12,000 last year, but you know what? I went to a bunch of stuff, and I'll tell you what, the universe supported me in it, because some of the stuff people were like writing me like, do you want to go to this? I have a free ticket. Do you want to go to that? And I'm like, thank you, universe. Thank you. Because here's the thing. When you set out on your mission and you say yes fully, you're funded. It's funded. You don't have to worry about how to figure it out. It will come for you. But do not discount yourself. Do not tell yourself that you can't do it. And do not listen to those mentors that tell you that you're always going to need this high-level coach to do these high-level things for you. We need to heal, and we could always use it, but you don't need anything. Could you shortcut stuff? Absolutely. Just think of it as you're shortcutting, right? But you want to be mindful of that patience piece, right? Because that patience thing, it can get you far, it can get you slow. Right? You want to be patient, understanding that it takes some time, but guys, it doesn't take that much time. So anyway, if any of you guys are inspired by this, I'm happy that I shared it. I hope that you understand what you're capable of right now. I hope that you understand wherever you're at, you are barely even seeing what's possible for you, and that all it takes is for you to make a decision right now that I'm changing it. It's an absolute must, right? Just like I made that choice and I said, guys, It's an absolute must for me to have this much money in my bank account. It's absolute must that I only shop at this grocery store. It's an absolute must that I live at this place. It's an absolute must that I say yes to the things that really call to me. And when I was able to do that, it's like, well, that's what I said I was going to do, didn't I? But I actually believed at that time. I actually believed in it, and I did all the work behind it. So anyway, guys, sending you lots of love. If you are a woman and you want to get in on tomorrow's program, we're starting for 4 weeks. It's deep healing, deep worthiness work. The work that I do is unlike anyone else because I created it, right? I didn't learn it from someone else. I learned it from myself. And because of that, it's that profound and powerful, but it's also because I am a vehicle for that. I just open up. The programs that I teach, they shift and they move as it goes on because I'm always opening up. Every day I start my day with, use me. Like, what am I to do today? What am I to share? And when we lead from that place, it's so powerful, right? It's so powerful. Hi, Kaylee. Kaylee knows she's in one of my groups, and she knows I lovingly kick her butt a lot, right? But the thing is that what I understand for all of us is that you're not paying me to show up and to not get results, right? And the thing is that I know that all of us can get results, and that we decide when something's over. We decide when it's done. We decide the outcome, right? And there's a beautiful balance of where, for women, they think that, well, I have to be in my feminine. I don't want to push too much, especially in spiritual communities, guys. Spiritual women who are business owners, there is a disconnect for a lot of them because it's like, well, what about serving? But the thing is that you have to understand that there's people who are willing to pay and that, like, I'm paying, right? Like, I'm looking right now, I'm interviewing mentors that will be able to serve me. They're going to serve me, and what they do for me is going to allow me to impact so many others, right? So you have to understand that you can get paid for your services. You can get paid for your services, and that you deserve to be full. You deserve to be full. You have to take care of the vehicle. You are the vehicle, right? That's what we have to understand is that, like, I'm the vehicle for this work. If I'm not taken care of, then what good is it? How far can I really get it, right? And we can serve a bunch of people who don't want to do the work and serve themselves, or we can decide that we're going to give those people who don't or can't maybe, right? There's always the time that they can't. And that's okay, guys. I've been there. You know, I just shared my whole story, right? And you guys know a lot because I share a lot, because I believe in absolute truth. I am a truth speaker, right? So I want you to know that. But there's a time and place where we understand that we can also get paid and flourish and thrive. And then we can give back. We can touch people in the world that can't even get on the internet. We can touch people in the world that really need us, right? And that are praying for us. So just know that. There's also something I want to touch on. Just someone brought this up to me yesterday. One of the reasons why she joined into my group. She's talking about, like, privilege and what's the word? Privilege. Guys, do you guys do this? What's the other word for privilege? You guys speak it out to me. She was talking about basically, I feel bad asking for money for what I do because there's people in the world who have nothing. Who am I to ask for thousands of dollars for what I do when there's people that just have nothing? And you know, this privilege, I said, well, look, if you were born as a white person on this planet in America, you are privileged. We know that. We are privileged. And you may look at your bank account and be like, well, I'm not privileged. Entitlement. Yes, Alicia, thank you. So she was like saying that, and I said, you know, if you were born as a white person on this planet, in this country, then you have no fucking right not to take advantage of it. You have no right not to take advantage of it, because you know what? We need people who feel that way to have more money, right? If you feel bad and you want to help people of color or people that have nothing or whatever it is for you, then you were brought here in this vehicle for a reason, right? There's all kinds of things unfolding. You know, I asked this to my teacher, Michael Beckwith. I said, you know, well then, if we're all limitless potential and, you know, we all have these capabilities, then why are some people just like addicted to drugs their whole life? And why are people sick their whole life? And, you know, it just frustrates me. And he goes, well, you don't understand really the greater picture of what's happening, right? You're only looking at it from a human perspective. And You don't understand like the karmic reasons, or what's unfolding for the planet and the greater good through what's happening, right? People that we see being killed, animals that we see being killed. There's always something that happens. There's effects that happen long and long and long and long after, right? So when we understand that, we can let go a little bit and go, However, if you are someone who is feeling the evolutionary push to let go and to freaking unleash and to really just express more and more of who you are, then you have no business not doing it. You're actually going to cause your own suffering by doing it. The suffering is going to show up in your relationships, in your own mind, in your body next, right? Because anything that's going on up here too chaotic will be manifest in our physical, because our body's along for the ride and it's just what it is. So guys, anyway, sending you all my love. I hope this helps. If there's someone else that you know that's on the entrepreneurial journey and they're like, man, I just can't get my business to pop, or it's been 3 years, or I don't believe I can make this much money because it's only been a year, share this with them. Because, I share it to inspire in the same way that I tell my clients certain things, because I know what's possible, and that's why I get pissed off, right? I get pissed off because I know what's possible if we actually just say yes and we fully step up. Fully stepping up means that you're dedicated no matter what, that nothing's stopping you from this, right? Like, I know that I feel like I've lost friendships because I've been so obsessed. I go in a bubble and I'm not sorry about it. I'm not sorry about it, because beyond anything, the people that are important in my life are going to stay. And that when there's a creative birthing happening and I feel like there's a message that has to get out, it has to get out. And it's part of the reason why I've been single for so long, because I don't want to upset someone else, right? Because I don't want to have to make time for them. I really don't. Not right now. Soon. Very soon. I'm getting closer to that. But there's a time and place for birthing. There's a time and place for honoring what's coming up. So I'm going to let it go, because I could keep going on about this forever, guys, because I love this stuff. But I need to rest, and I'm going to celebrate internally more, because it's beautiful, right? And I hope you got something from this. If you haven't already, sign up for the 4-week intensive. If you're even thinking about it, just do it. There's financing. There's financing. But if you have bad credit, then you can always do a payment plan. I don't care what it is. If you're listening to this and you've been listening for that long and you're interested and you don't have the money right now, but you have something, write me. Let's work out something, because you know what? I will say this, going back to no rules, that like, I give in my business a lot, right? I believe in giving. I also believe that there's been people that have reached out to me, or there's been people in my low investment level groups that were like $200 that I saw that they were like, they just needed to have one like little shove, right? And I knew that if they came into a higher level group that they would get it. And I reached out to them and I say, because that's why I don't believe in I don't believe in these like black and white things in business. I believe in just doing what I feel and honoring that. So there was a woman, I knew she was one shift away from like just showing up, right? And I knew that she was making these comfortable investments that were $200 because that was in her comfort zone. And I told her, you're not going to see the results that you want unless you get totally uncomfortable. Because if we stay comfortable and we're like, I'm just making this investment with what I can, like the transaction transforms, right? So I told her, even though the program was like $2,500 or something, and she's like, I only have $400. And I was just like, should I drag her from scarcity, which I don't like doing, but I knew how close she was to it, right? And she didn't ask me. I reached out to her and I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? How long are you going to do this for? You're 40 years old. How long do you really think you're going to play this for? And then we got really clear on like, what are you doing to your kids? What are you doing to your like relationship with your husband? What is this struggle that you're choosing? It's a choice, guys. What's it doing to you? She came up with this like really creative payment option, and I could hear all the little voices of all the cookie cutter coaches online that say, don't do that because it's messing up your wealth consciousness and it's messing up other people's wealth consciousness. I could hear all their voices and I'm like, am I doing that? But I just felt it in my heart that I should do it. And I tell you, I did it for her. She paid me back before the program was over. She came through and paid the entire thing. And, it was like she couldn't even imagine paying that much. So she paid the entire thing, and now her business is like moving and flowing, and she's just expanding. But I'll tell you, if I would have listened to the rules about business, I wouldn't have done that, right? And I know that because I do that and I'm open to the law of circulation, I understand that there's no rules. I understand that yesterday is not today, and that in the present I get to fully feel what's here. I get to fully make choice, right? And that I understand that I'm not a victim to money, to clients, to yesterday's mistakes, to someone else's anything. I'm not a victim to it. So even right now, I can decide, like, what day is today, the 21st? Guys, if you're working on a month-end goal, the month is not over. Like, you have days. And when people tell me, well, this is changing in 60 days, so I can't do it anymore. 60 days? Do you know how much can happen in 60 days? Like I told you guys, look at how much this transformed. For anyone that just tuned in, this topic is about last year I made $12,000 total the entire year. This year so far, the past 6 months, 102,000 or something that I hit today. And I made 77 of that in the past 90 days. So I was just saying that we get to decide. Doesn't mean that you just make a choice and you don't do anything. No, you make a choice. You align your beliefs with what you're feeling. You ask for support from the invisible, from the visible, right? You show up and you know, did I do my part today? Did I do everything I could do today? Was I bold as I could be? Did I let go of anyone else's opinion? And when you do that, you'll see what happens. And then come back and tell me, because I can't wait to see what happens for you. But I'm going to go. Sending you guys lots of love. Jump into the thing. Remember what I said. If you're on here still, message me. Get into this if you can. Otherwise, one-on-one stuff will always be launching in different forms. And there's big stuff happening, guys. So stay tuned. But sending you my love. Have a beautiful night. Thanks for listening. Share it with someone you know who's going on this journey and maybe struggling. And yeah, because you know what? The journey can be lonely sometimes. The people closest to you will not understand it. They'll think that you're nuts until you start making good money. And then they'll be like, wait, what are you doing again? My dad does that all the time. He's like, what are you doing? Like, do you even have a job? Yeah, Dad, I have a business. I have a business now. Thank you. Jen, awesome. Way to show up. Just jump on. Awesome. Laura, what are you doing? Are you jumping into the 4-week intensive? I hope that's what that means. So what I was just saying, anyone, if you've been on here for this long, message me, because if you want to get into this, we'll make it happen some way. We'll figure it out. But you have to be willing to show up. And what that means is that you don't write me with like, I have $10. No. But there's been, I've had 2 people that have written me, and I honor the bold. Like, I honor the bold, and I also honor integrity. And I am willing, because so many people have helped me in my journey, not even like really financially, some people financially. But, you know, I had bad credit. I have no parents with credit cards. I can't be like, Dad, can you give me a credit card? Actually, I need a surgery, right? And I don't have insurance for it. So I was like, oh, how am I going to get it? And if you guys don't know this, the insurance system is like you have to wait till enrollment in October, something. And because of that, like, there aren't people that I can call and ask for that. Everything is on me. But because of that high level of being uncomfortable, I have no choice but to perform. And it's actually stretched me into beautiful places. And I was actually telling my friend today how grateful I am for that, because some of the things in my life, I used to wish that they were easier. And I wish that, like, I wish my parents had a trust fund. I wish that I actually had parents that had good credit and they would just put stuff on their credit card for me when it got hard. But you know what? I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that it never was. I'm glad that I was a single mom, because all of those things allowed me to stretch and to become the woman I am today. And you know what? Nothing great is born of easiness. Easiness isn't the way, right? You are shined and polished in the tough times, and I'm grateful for them. So anyway, guys, have a beautiful night. Let's talk soon. Bye.